Hello and welcome back to our study of Peninei Halacha, the teachings of Rav Yogev Cohen, Shlita. Good morning, Chodesh Tov, everyone. Here we are, Rosh Chodesh Sivan, as we begin preparation for Chag Matan Torah, Zman Matan Torah, Senu Chag HaShavuos. We have Rosh Chodesh, Yom HaMiyuchah, Shlosha Simei Hagbala, as we get ready for this wonderful Yontif ahead. Please continue davening for Chaylei Tzva Haganah Yisrael, for Shlomo Chol Petzui Yisrael, and the safe return of our hostages. And we learn the Nishmat, Sarah, Daniel Shimon, of their own Vishal Shemikim Demo. Next chapter, Ruach Ra'ah Bizmanenu. So we talked yesterday about Ruach Ra'ah, washing your hands in the morning to get rid of this spirit, this tumah, this ritual impurity on your hands. Let's see how it applies nowadays. Al pi divrei hazor v'hamekubalim, yesh litol yadayim samach l'kimam hashena, kedei l'hashos esrech hatumah al yadayim. So according to the Zohar and those of the Kabbalists, so we learned yesterday that we have to wash our hands as soon as you get up from sleep so that you shouldn't have this ritual impurity on your hands. Not only that, we have to be careful not to walk more than 4 amos, let's say 6 feet, before you wash your hands in the morning. And therefore, one has to prepare water before one goes to sleep, and put it next to the bed, so that as soon as you wake up, you can wash your hands, which is why if you look in any Judaica store, when they sell a washing cup, it also often comes with a basin. The basin is that you could place it with the filled washing cup next to your bed, and you'll have it ready as soon as you wake up. So, not to worry if this is not your practice of having it next to your bed, and some are lenient, and this is the opinion that most people follow, is that since your entire house, your entire domicile is considered as 4 amos, so as long as you don't leave your home more than 4 amos, if you're within your home, so let's say, for us would be, let's say, going to the bathroom, to the sink, wherever that is, that's considered within the same 4 amos, and you're still not considered delaying washing your hands. V'yesh omrim, sheruach ra'ah zu batla me'ha'olam. And some say that this concept of ruach ra'ah has been nullified forever. Balei HaTosfos Heskir Deya, the Tosfos in Yuma, Daf Ayin Zayin, they mention an opinion, sheruach ra'ah zu eina shor be'elo hamalchios, that writing this in the communities of Ashkenaz, in Germany, where the Balei HaTosfos were, they said that in their domains, in other words, in where they lived at that time, there was no such thing as Ruach Ra'ah. Ubal halacha Mishnah kasav shemashma medivrei haRambam she'ein choshesh Ruach Ra'ah shenizkar b'Talmud. And the Lecha Mishnah, one of the commentaries on the Rambam, and he writes in the name of the Rambam that the Ruach Ra'ah that's mentioned in the Gemara is not something that we are concerned about today. Gam HaMaharshal shechar lefnei ka'arba me'el shana, the Maharshal lived before 400 years. V'haya echad migdolei haposkim Ashkenaz, one of the great Ashkenazi poskim. Kasav shein Ruach Ra'ah mitzvah beinenu, that he writes also that there is no Ruach Ra'ah in our midst. V'chein kasvu od kama poskim, and this is the opinion of many poskim. Kanireh shehevdel ben hadoros nautz b'kach. So what's the difference between previous generations and now? Shebedoros harishonim hakoach hanafshi hamisti hayabolit v'chazak yoser. In previous generations, the spiritual, the mystical strength that a Jew had was stronger, it was more prominent. This was, on the one hand, it was allowed the Jewish soul to reach higher levels of spirituality, let's say because we had things like nevuah, things like prophecy. On the other hand, but they also had greater powers against it, such as these sort of witchcraft or avodah zarah, which we don't have today. B'meshech hazman, hakoach hasechli tafas es hamakom hamerkazi hacheshbon hachos hanefshayim, v'yachadim hafsakas hanevuah gam ruchas hatumah nechlashu v'ne'elmu, uv'mekaman yeshuchas ra'os shel deos shekrios u'mezuyofos. Nowadays, we're not on such a high spiritual level. We don't have nevuah, we don't have prophecy, but that means that the forces against that are also non-existent, such as kishuf or avodah zarah, things like that. And therefore, this Ruach Ra'ah that the Gemara mentions would have no place in our time, and we just have other different types of things that corrupt us, but it's not the Ruach Ra'ah that the Gemara was discussing. We have another tradition, Hakashur be'graf Petotsky, Shahaya ben lemishpachas atzlim bePolonia. So we have something connected to this story with this family called Petotsky, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, who was part of one of the great families in Poland. And somebody wanted to convert and be part of Am Yisrael. It was not accepted in those days, so therefore he secretly converted and he secretly was studying and involved in Torah. In the end, the Crusaders, those who tried to convert him back to Christianity, they gave him two possibilities. They caught him. Lachzor lenatzrut ol hisaref chai. So since conversion to Judaism in this time was not allowed, obviously it had to be done secretly, and he was caught by the Christians. And the Christians gave him a choice. They said, either you go back to your original religion, or you're going to be burned alive. Ger hatzedek bachar lemos b'sreifa v'kadosh Shem Shemayim b'rabim. He chose not to go back, but he chose to sanctify Hashem's name publicly, and he chose the second. Ba'osa she'amar Hagon meVilna. The Vilna Gaon said at that moment, Ruach Ra'ah ivda mikocha, that the power and the strength of Tumah lost its strength. U'be'ikar nikar hadavar b'ruach hatumah shel shachris, and it was mainly recognized with the Ruach Tumah and Shachris. So since the Gaon said that after this incident, and this shows that Ruach Tumah is no longer there, so that's why the students of the Gaon did not necessarily emphasize this Dalet Amos, not walking. Interesting story in that's how they get their halacha, but just interesting we mentioned it here. Lamaisa ladas achida, so practically speaking, called the chida we mentioned before, Chaim Yosef David Azulai, and the Mishnah Brura, Ben Ishchai, Yesh lahakbich lo lelechas yosem arba amos l'fnei netilah. Nonetheless, we are still careful not to walk 4 amos before we wash. Lu'umasam yeshno poskim shemakilim ezeh, but there are those that are lenient with this. Either because we say that in your house is considered all Dalet Amos, or because we're not so concerned about Ruach HaTumah today. And this is the widespread minhag. Even according to those who say that there's no Ruach Ra'ah in our time, but nonetheless, they will still, everybody washes hands 3 times back and forth, and also they make sure not to touch any of the openings in your body until you wash your hands, as we had mentioned as well in the past. So even though Ruach Ra'ah may not apply today, but the way we wash, so just practically speaking, one should wash. If you don't keep it next to your bed, but if you wash in your home, you'll certainly be on good footing, but you have to make sure, regardless of what your opinion is, that you have to wash your hands in the morning, first thing, before we do anything else. So, thank you so much for joining us today on this Rosh Chodesh. Please continue davening for Chali Tzvah Gedei Tzor Full Shlem Chol Petuei Sol Sefer Return of our hostages, Lili Nishmat Sarah and Daniel Shimon Rav Yogev Cohen. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you here next time.